Now I'm going to call on Josh Kahn, who spent, his family have been in the Ceres era for over 100 years. He lives in Prince Alfred Hamlet, and he'll tell us all about that.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just a quick little bit about myself and my family, because this is about the Ceres Hebrew congregation. My parents came to the village of Prince Alfred Hamlet, which is 9 kilometers outside Ceres, in 1940 on honeymoon. The reason for their visit, coming here, was that family were in the hotel business and a cousin farm nearby. My mother was born in Poland and my father from Plunyan in Lithuania, where my grandfather was a farmer. Strange enough, when my parents arrived here, my father found many Plunyaners, which was rather interesting. I myself went to junior school in Ceres and high school at Weinberg Boys High, where Ivan Perel was as well. I've lived here permanently since 1965 and have been married to Gwen since 1969. I was a hotelier for 40 years of my life, and I think I must be about the last surviving breed of the country hotelier. We have 4 children and 4 grandchildren who live in Cape Town, and a granddaughter who is finishing her schooling in Israel. This picture on the screen is actually the visitor's book from Hamlet Hotel. And you will see on the 9th of May, 1940, Mr. H.I. Kahn arrived. That's my father. And funny enough, the only other yet in town was another Mr. Kahn, whose signature is just above him on the page. The Jewish presence in Ceres goes back a long, long time. Adolf Arnolds was a storekeeper, and he lived with his wife, Mary, in Ceres in 1965. 1865. Now, the background to Ceres is quite important because the forgotten highway to the north ran through Ceres. The rail head was at Wellington, and from then everybody moved the diamond fields to the gold fields by wagon, and that main road ran through Ceres. And Mr. Arnold started the passenger transport company called the Inland Transport Company, with a head office in Ceres. It was like the CHOLs of the era. Let's just move the slide on. He was also the first mayor of Ceres, the first magistrate of Ceres. So the Jews in Ceres played a pretty important role. There's an advert for his transport company. For £12, you could go to the diamond fields. Another early occupant of Ceres was Ludwig Wiener, and he traded in Ceres and in Tulbach between 1855 and 1870. The Bowmans were also going back quite a long way into the history of Ceres, and he was the man who in 1923 laid the foundation stone of the first CHOL in Ceres. This is just a list of the presence in Ceres and when people more or less arrived here. The Ceres Hebrew congregation was formed in 1903. And in 1923, a CHOL was built on the corner of Porter Street and Munich Street. The foundation stone, as I said, was laid by Mr. Bowman. And in 1964, there were still, skip my 28 families. This is wrong what I have on my slide, 28 families and members to the CHOL. This is actually the foundation stone laying ceremony in 1923. This stone is now at the Jewish Museum in Cape Town. And another interesting story is that the trowel that Mr. Bowman used to lay that stone disappeared. And it was found some years ago in a bankrupt jewelry shop in Petersburg in the Transvaal. And somebody said, but whoa, there's still a congregation in Ceres, it must go back there. And it is today in the museum in Ceres. As far as I know, there were 3 rabbis who served the community. Reverend Moshe Rabinovitz, 1905 to 1921. And then there was a gap. I think there could well have been somebody, I must research it further. But Rabbi Natas, Herschel Natas, served the community in Ceres from 1927 to 1953. In fact, the first Hebrew I learned was from him. And this picture is Reverend Natas leaving Lithuania for South Africa in 1926. In 1944, the Ceres, Tolbach, and Wolseley congregations amalgamated to form what is known as the Ceres Wolseley Hebrew Congregation, and the chairman then was Mr. M. Friedman. The reason for Rabbi Natas coming to Ceres is that he had a deaf and dumb daughter, and she was at school, at the school for those people in Worcester, and it was convenient for him to live in Ceres. He did the shechting, he did everything. He was a marvelous, marvelous man. To talk about all the people that lived in Ceres is impossible, but there are a few that I would like to elaborate on. One of them was Raskin's mineral water factory, Mr. Isaac Raskin. And if you look at the mineral water, the ginger beer bottle, it's quite interesting in that it says Raskin and Company, and along the bottom, Ceres and Ceres Road. Ceres Road is what is today known as Wolseley. He made med for Pesach. It was super. Farmers, the fruit farming industry was pioneered by Jewish farmers. The Sarambachs in particular, Joseph Sarambach, he came from Prussia. In fact, their farm is still called Klein Preuss. And he became the biggest fruit exporter in South Africa in that time. The Zionist record of October 1933 records that Mr. Sarambach traveled extensively in Canada and the United States, where he studied fruit culture. He subsequently decided to become a grower and purchased a farm in Ceres. Last season, he shipped 1,500 tons of fruit overseas, besides many thousands of packages on local markets. Now, 1,500 tons of fruit by today's standards is a lot. Another name in the fruit farming industry is the Kirsch family, Theo Kirsch. He farmed at a farm called Oostasi, and he was one of the founders of the big cooperative called Ceres Fruit Growers in Ceres. This picture is some of the traders in Ceres. On the left is Wolf Meta. He had a shop in Ceres. When Rabbi Natas retired, he was the gabbo of our shul. The only thing he couldn't do was a bris. Picture in the middle is Kirsch's store. The picture on the right is Saki Katzenellenbogen, standing on the road called the Saki Katzenellenbogenweg. That's in Wolseley. And Saki in his time was also the mayor of Wolseley. The Shul Hall was built in 1933. You'll see the quotation on the right for the royal sum of 775 pounds. This all came to a standstill in 1969 with the earthquake. The shul was, and the hall, which is the building in the background of the 3 slides, were all damaged way beyond repair. Interestingly enough, on the night of the 29th of September, when this all happened, there was a ladies' WITSO meeting in Wolseley. I have the minute book in my safe. And the closing remark is, the meeting ended in chaos. Fortunately, Nobody was hurt. Everybody returned to Ceres. That was in 69. By 1970, Yontif, we had a temporary shul. It was a steel structure enclosed, and that with time became the hall of the rebuilt shul. The process was you turned your money over to the disaster fund, which was established, and we were fairly well insured, and we were promised to be put back into the position we were before the quake. That happened. We were able to rebuild the shul and the hall. The shul, in order for safety, we got permission from the Rabbanim to build our shul on one level. The ladies were only 2 steps up, and they are hardly higher than what it was. This is the opening of the shul in 1973. The 3 gentlemen on the left is Wolfie Fish, who became the Gabba after Wolf Meadows in the middle, and Rabbi Professor Newman is on the right, who came to perform the opening ceremony. The picture on the left is the shul as it was then. This is what this building looked like, the new building, and today it's been sold. The building essentially looks the same. The windows have been changed. The gateposts are really the only original piece of the 1923 shul. So it's actually 100 years this year that the first shul was built, and 50 years ago that the second shul was built. The last service was held in our shul in 1999. Only high holidays were celebrated before that, and we used to get young people from Cape Town to come and run the menu for us. It was popular. Friends and family used to come from Cape Town for Yontif. From Villersdorp, Riversdale, they came to the Ceres. In the 1950s, when I was a schooler and the congregation was really strong, it was obvious when it was Yontif. The village was quiet. Most of the businesses were closed. I think like most places, when it was lunchtime, Rosh Hashanah, there was a brocha in somebody's house, everybody was invited. Bar mitzvahs were held at 6 o'clock in the morning, so that shopkeepers could be at their businesses by 8 o'clock. On Friday nights, if we were 1 or 2 short for a minyan, there was a very popular big hotel across the road from the shul called the Belmont Hotel. Some of you might remember it. One of us would run across the road, ask for the visitor's book, and go down the list for Mr. Rabinovich, Mr. Kahn, whatever, and there would be a phone call to their room. Please come and help us make a minyan. And that happened. When we no longer used the shul, our furnishings were put in storage, and we rented the premises out as a Christian private school. The rental enabled us to do lots of things. We put a child from Orania through university. We were able to make various donations to Jewish charities. And in that way, over 300,000 Rand was handed out. We also paid for a permanent exhibition in the museum, because as Fazia said, you go to a town today, there's no sign of a Jew. People wouldn't even know what a Jew is. And because of the role we played in the country towns, we felt that we must put something there for people to see, and that we have achieved. The foundation stone of the second shul is in that museum, as well as some of the windows with Magen David's on. The cemetery, if anybody should research Ceres, if you go to the Ceres Museum website, they are there. And we've put them all down at 30 degrees. This is some earthquake damage. They're very old tombstones in the cemetery. It's impossible to say. You'll see the hollows in the headstones that were put down. There was probably a wooden plaque in there. but because of the fact that it was on the main road to the north, we assume that it was travelers that died and they were buried in Ceres. This is the museum in Ceres. The picture on the left shows you one of the windows on the outside of the museum, which says there is Jewish history to be seen in the museum. And the picture on the right is the bench, the Rebbe's bench, as well as the tablet from above the ark and the curtain from the ark. Often my wife and myself have spoken to school groups about Jews and the Ceres Hebrew congregation. And we have a fantastic curator, and she's really bends over backwards to accommodate things like that. Thank you, and that's all I have to tell you. I'd be happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Josh, so much for this wonderful presentation. You know, for people in other parts of the country, we didn't realize maybe what was going on. So it's really tremendous. So is there anybody who'd like to ask Josh anything or say anything? People are really enjoying these talks. So Gavin. Hi, great.
Hi,
Gavin.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I just want to thank Josh for that talk. Josh is a great friend of this museum as well as the museum in Ceres, and he's been singularly responsible for maintaining and securing the history of the Ceres Jewish community. So I really just want to commend him on the work that he's done, and keep it up, Josh. I'm sure, no doubt, I will see you soon.
Excellent, thank you.